On May 1st, 1960, an American U-2 spy plane was shot down over the Soviet Union and the pilot, Francis Gary Powers, was captured. It was the year's main event. Powers was extensively interrogated and convicted of espionage against the Soviet Union. Sentenced to 10 years, he was exchanged for a Soviet spy just 2 years later on Berlin's famous Bridge of Spies. The United States government initially denied the plane's mission, but was forced to admit using it as a covert surveillance aircraft when the Soviet government produced the crashed plane almost fully intact and bearing the evidence. The incident increased already high tensions during the Cold War and contributed to a marked decline in the relationship between the two powerful rivals. Aware that U-2 spy flights were a violation of Soviet sovereignty, US President Dwight Eisenhower reluctantly approved them beginning in 1956 to check on the Soviet missile program. The planes were equipped with high-quality cameras designed to take high-resolution photos over hostile countries. These cameras photographed military and other important intelligence targets. The U-2 was designed for minimum airframe weight, which resulted in an aircraft with little margin for error. Its early missions were used to gather intelligence using electronic sensors and satellite information. U-2 pilots were able to carry out espionage missions relatively easily as the spy plane could reach altitudes above 70,000 feet, making it safe against Soviet anti-aircraft weapons of the time. On May 1st, 1960, the high-altitude U-2 spy plane departed from Pakistan on a flight that was supposed to take it across the USSR to Norway, with the mission to photograph missile sites in the Soviet Union. The plane was detected and shot down deep in the Ural region, near a Russian town called Degtyask, using surface-to-air missiles. The U-2 was severely damaged by the blast and began to break into pieces. A Soviet fighter jet pursuing the US plane was also caught and destroyed in the blast. The plane's pilot, Francis Gary Powers, parachuted to safety, violating strict orders to destroy the aircraft were he to be shot down. Unconscious due to lack of oxygen, he was captured on the ground by Soviet soldiers. On May 6th, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev announced that the aircraft had been shot down inside Soviet territory. The US government initially denied that it was on an intelligence mission and said it was on a weather research mission and strayed off course when the pilot's oxygen system failed. When the USSR revealed the U-2's photography equipment had been recovered and that Powers was alive and in Soviet custody, the US owned up and accepted responsibility without apologizing. The incident created a sensation and derailed the crucial May 16th Paris summit conference between Western nations and leaders of the Soviet Union, with disarmament to be the main focus. After President Eisenhower acknowledged that America had lied but refused to apologize, Khrushchev was not satisfied and the summit was cancelled. Interrogated extensively for months, Powers pleaded guilty and was convicted of espionage in August 1960 and sentenced to 10 years, 3 years imprisonment and 7 years hard labor. After completing less than 2 years of his sentence, Powers was exchanged for the Soviet spy Rudolf Abel in February 1962. For the United States, both the political and operational costs of the U-2 incident were high. It diminished the standing of President Eisenhower in the last days of his administration and was the start of a deterioration in American relations with the Soviet Union.